You might be sitting there thinking you lost her forever, and maybe you have. But here's the truth almost no man ever realizes. The moment she left, a hidden part of her mind didn't want to let you go. She didn't just walk away, she left a piece of herself behind, even if she won't admit it to anyone, not even herself. That's the paradox you need to understand before you ever try to get her back. You see, women don't just fall in love with your actions, they fall in love with the version of yourself that challenges her, excites her, and ignites a sense of fear she can't name. That fear, the fear of losing you forever, and it's subtle, invisible, but it's the weapon that will draw her back if you know how to trigger it correctly. Most men think that texting her, apologizing endlessly, or begging for her attention is the way to win her back. The truth is, that strategy kills attraction every single time. When a woman sees desperation, she sees the end of value. She sees predictability. She sees safety. And the human mind craves a little danger, a little uncertainty, a little push and pull. It's why she stayed in the first place. But here's the key. She doesn't want chaos. She wants controlled challenge. She wants to feel like she could lose you, but only if she slips up. That's the psychology behind why some men can disappear from a woman's life for months and suddenly become irresistible again. It's not magic. It's understanding the precise way the human brain reacts to loss and scarcity. Scarcity doesn't mean ignoring her entirely. It means becoming the man who can thrive without her, who is so anchored in his own life that her absence doesn't shake him. That's the man who becomes unforgettable. And here's what most men miss. It's not about changing her mind. It's about revealing the part of you she can't live without. Because when a woman feels she's losing that, it triggers something primal. Emotional memory, attachment, desire, all of it lights up in ways that logic cannot explain. And the craziest part? Most men do the exact opposite. They cling, they chase, they make themselves small. That triggers the very thing you don't want, disinterest. So before you ever think about sending a message, posting on social media to get her attention, or trying to manipulate her emotionally, you have to understand your own psychology first. You have to understand what you represent when you are calm, unshakable, and focused on your own life. Because when you master that, you don't just become another option, you become the challenge she fears losing. There's a dangerous, almost intoxicating power in that, and it's why men who understand this rarely stay single for long. They don't fight for women, they become the kind of man women fight to keep in their lives. And it all starts with one brutal truth. You can't control her. You can't force her. You can only control how she feels about losing you. And that feeling, that fear of losing you, is what will bring her back begging, almost as if she's trying to save herself. But remember this isn't about trickery or manipulation. It's about becoming the man she genuinely cannot imagine her life without, and letting the natural psychological pull do the work. She will beg to come back, not because you forced it, but because she realizes the depth of what she left behind. Most men never learn this. Most men never understand how desire works, how loss works, and how the human mind stores emotional attachment. That's why they fail and why she moves on quickly. But you? If you understand this, if you act with precision, confidence, and restraint, the rules change. The game flips. And she will feel it, even before she admits it. Even before she reaches out. Even before she tries to act like she's indifferent. The moment she senses she might actually lose the version of you she needs, everything changes. And now, you are not chasing her. She is being pulled toward you by forces she can't rationalize, forces that only the sharpest men ever learn to harness. Here's the part most men will never admit. Women fall in love with what they can't fully control, not what they can possess. You think love is built by constant attention, texts, calls, or proving yourself over and over? That's a lie drilled into men by society, by movies, by dating advice that's outdated and manipulative. Real attraction is rooted in scarcity, confidence, and the subtle tension of unpredictability. When a woman leaves, part of her mind is screaming, "I need him," but the other part is terrified. terrified of losing control, terrified of the vulnerability she's feeling, but refuses to acknowledge. And this is where most men break. They mistake fear for hatred, distance for disinterest, absence for apathy. The truth is, she's paying attention in ways you'll never see. Every time she hesitates, every time she questions her choices, every time she scrolls past your life online, her subconscious is measuring, could I ever have him again? Your task is not to chase, not to manipulate, not to plead. Your task is to become the version of yourself she cannot imagine losing. That starts with radical self-mastery, radical emotional independence. When you detach from her approval, when you anchor your identity in your own purpose, you stop existing in her world as a prize to be won. You exist as a challenge, a magnetic force she can't resist. And here's the secret most men will never understand. You don't need to act cold or mean to create that pull. You simply need to live fully, unapologetically, and deliberately. The man who can thrive without her is the man she fears losing the most. Scarcity is not about ignoring her for weeks. It's about showing that your time, your attention, your life, and your emotions are valuable. When she senses this, her mind begins to replay every moment she's had with you, every laugh, every intimate conversation, every moment of excitement. Suddenly, your absence becomes presence. Suddenly, she feels the weight of what she left behind. And here's where psychology becomes almost dangerous. Attachment is strongest when it's mixed with uncertainty and admiration. You don't need to remind her of your value through words. You reinforce it through your presence in life, your growth, your confidence, your freedom. Every post, every conversation, every decision she sees that doesn't revolve around her builds an invisible force that pulls her in. She begins to question why she walked away. She begins to remember the man she underestimated, and the fear, the subtle, almost painful fear of losing you forever. That's the trigger that can bring her back, but it must be handled delicately. Too much pressure, too much insistence, too much exposure to your desire, and the spell breaks. She feels the desperation, and attraction dies instantly. That's why most men fail. They give the wrong signals at the wrong time. They reveal too much of themselves before she has a chance to reconnect with the idea of losing you. You, on the other hand, become the enigma she cannot ignore. You are the man who's walking forward in life while she's standing still, realizing too late that she wants what she abandoned. And it's not manipulation, it's reality. Women are wired to respond to loss instinctively. You don't have to explain it, fight it, or force it. You simply embody the man she fears leaving behind. Confidence, independence, emotional stability, power, all of it combined creates a gravitational pull that is irresistible. And when she finally reaches the point where the fear of never having you again outweighs her pride, she will begin to move toward you. That's the moment you've been preparing for. That's the moment most men completely misread and ruin. You, however, will be ready. Because you understand the most important truth. Desire is born in absence, reinforced by value, and solidified by the fear of losing it forever. The next step is about refinement, about subtle action, timing, and emotional intelligence. That's where men become legends, and women come back willingly, almost as if pulled by a force they cannot explain. But first, mastery of yourself. Now, let's get brutally honest. Most men fail because they never truly understand the invisible levers of a woman's mind, the emotional switches that make her pause, hesitate, and eventually chase. The moment she left, her brain didn't stop processing you. Every memory, every laugh, every argument, every intimate conversation, her subconscious stored it like fuel. And here's the dangerous truth. Her desire doesn't die when she leaves. It mutates. It becomes silent, almost invisible, but deadly potent if you know how to awaken it. You need to understand this. You cannot provoke fear with words. You cannot force attraction by saying, "I hope you miss me." That's desperation. That's weakness. The fear of losing you is triggered through presence, through perceived value, and through the unspoken knowledge that you are capable of walking away, thriving without her, and not losing anything in the process. Women are wired to sense this deeply. It's almost primal, the kind of psychology men rarely see, but women feel it like electricity. So how do you activate that pull without manipulation? First, you remove yourself from predictable patterns. She doesn't need to see you reacting to every message, every story, every attempt she makes to capture your attention. Instead, you create a space where your life continues with or without her. She begins to see you thriving. She begins to realize that your value is not dictated by her presence. And that is what scares her. Because suddenly, the illusion of control she had, thinking she could walk away and you'd still be waiting, is gone. She feels the weight of what she abandoned. Second, you subtly showcase your growth. This isn't about showing off. It's about becoming undeniable. Women feel attraction when a man evolves beyond the version of himself she knew. Your success, your focus, your ambition, your social presence, all of it becomes proof that losing you was not a harmless mistake. It was a cost, and women are wired to respond to that cost. Third, you introduce controlled unpredictability. Not games, not manipulation, but the natural ebb and flow of a man living deliberately. You don't answer every message immediately. You don't bend to every whim. You exist with rhythm, with priorities, and with boundaries. She begins to notice. She begins to remember the intensity, the excitement, the tension that drew her to you before. That tension, when coupled with her awareness of your independence, triggers the fear of permanent loss, the psychological magnet that can bring her back. But here's the critical point almost no one teaches. Fear of losing you must be paired with genuine value. If you are unavailable and weak, she loses interest. If you are distant and desperate, she loses respect. But if you are distant, strong, confident, and thriving, she experiences a primal tug she cannot resist. That's the difference between men who fail and men who become unforgettable. Finally, understand timing and emotional intelligence. You don't hit her with fear. You allow her to feel it naturally through observation of your life, through the subtle distance you maintain, and through your unwavering focus on yourself. Every interaction, every post, every choice reinforces the narrative. You are a man of value, not a man to chase, and women respond instinctively. They cannot help it. The fear of losing you, combined with the memory of what she had, will stir desire stronger than words ever could. She may resist, she may act indifferent, she may even try to test you, but underneath it all, her mind is replaying the life she could have, the man she walked away from, and the realization that she might never get him back unless she acts. That fear, when paired with your unwavering presence in life, is unstoppable. That's the invisible code most men never crack. But once you understand it, once you embody it, she will feel compelled to come back. Not because you begged, not because you chased, but because the version of you she lost is now the version of you she cannot imagine living without. And that is the psychology men were never supposed to learn. Here's where most men completely fail. They don't understand that attraction isn't rebuilt through words or promises. It's rebuilt through presence, timing, and emotional authority. When a woman left, she didn't just walk away from you physically. She walked away from the version of herself that existed around you. That version of her wants to return, but only if she senses that you're no longer defined by her, that you are untouchable in your own life. You must step into that reality first. You must become so solid, so undeniably confident in who you are, that she can't shake the feeling she left something irreplaceable behind. Positioning yourself correctly isn't about ignoring her completely. It's about showing her that her absence does not diminish you, and that your world continues to move forward at full force. Women are instinctively drawn to men who have purpose, men who have value, and men who operate on levels of self-sufficiency they cannot match without effort. And here's the kicker. She can feel it. She can sense it in your energy, your actions, your priorities, and even the subtle tone of your voice when she happens to cross your path. The challenge, the allure, the fear of losing you again, it all intensifies naturally. You don't manufacture it, You simply become it. Next, you must reinforce your value without words. Your interactions should be confident, controlled, and unshakable. If she reaches out, respond in a way that is warm but measured. Do not apologize for what happened. Do not try to explain the past. Those things signal insecurity. Instead, embody the man she realizes she underestimated, the man whose absence has made her notice exactly what she walked away from. Every conversation, every glimpse she has of your life, every subtle indication that you are thriving without her feeds the internal fear she feels, the fear that she may have lost you forever. And this is where the psychology becomes powerful. She doesn't consciously plan to come back. She feels compelled to. She is drawn by the gravitational pull of value, confidence, and emotional independence. Most men never reach this stage because they fail to hold their own boundaries, their own self-worth, and their own time. But when you do, when you are immovable in your identity, her mind starts replaying the life she abandoned. Memories flood back, moments of laughter, excitement, intimacy, and the thrill of unpredictability you brought into her life. That mental loop, coupled with her fear of losing you, is stronger than anything you could ever say to her. Then comes subtle influence. Without forcing it, you begin to remind her, not verbally, but through your life, your choices, and your demeanor, of the energy she misses, the presence she craves, the man she can't replace. You do this by living fully, being social, being ambitious, being magnetic, and letting her see it. She notices. She reacts. Her mind, her heart, and her emotions begin to align in a way that pulls her back. But here's the critical nuance most men never grasp. Patience is the weapon. You cannot accelerate this process. Any attempt to force her hand will shatter the psychological pull you've built. Instead, observe, act intentionally, and maintain your value. This is why men who truly master this dynamic rarely fail. They understand the power of controlled presence, emotional independence, and the fear of loss. When she finally approaches or reaches out, she's not coming to negotiate, plead, or challenge. She's coming to reconnect with the man she realizes she cannot live without. And at that moment, your position is unshakable. You are calm, confident, and in control. The game has shifted. You are no longer chasing, she is chasing. She is experiencing the very psychological pull you've orchestrated, not through manipulation, but through mastery of self, timing, and emotional intelligence. And here's the truth most men never learn. You don't need her validation. You don't need her approval. You only need to embody the man she fears losing. That embodiment, strength, independence, growth, and subtle mystery is magnetic, irresistible, unavoidable. And when she returns, it's not because you begged. It's because she realized too late to ignore that she walked away from the one man she could not replace. That is power. That is attraction. That is psychology. Men are never taught. And yet, it's the difference between loss and a woman coming back willingly, almost as if drawn by destiny itself. Now, here's the final, brutal truth that separates men who fail from men women can't resist. Attraction is not rebuilt through words, promises, or apologies. It is rebuilt through presence, power, and the fear of permanent loss. By now, you've understood the psychology. Her desire doesn't vanish when she leaves. It simmers quietly, invisibly, like a flame waiting for air. The moment she senses that flame could extinguish forever, her instincts, her emotions, and her subconscious will drive her toward you. But you must be prepared, and preparation is everything. This is where men fall short. They see her hesitation, they see the distance, and they panic. They text too much, call too often, and reveal their longing. That's the exact opposite of what ignites fear, attraction, and urgency. Instead, you cultivate presence without attachment. You move forward in life with such clarity, such focus, and such value that your absence becomes undeniable. She notices. She compares. She remembers. Every memory of laughter, intimacy, and connection begins to resurface. Her mind plays the what-if game, and that's when the pull begins. Timing becomes critical here. You don't need to force an encounter. You don't need to orchestrate a dramatic gesture. All you need to do is remain untouchable in your priorities, consistent in your growth, and deliberate in your interactions. When she senses that you are both unattainable and thriving, the fear of losing you becomes impossible to ignore. And that fear, subtle, primal, relentless, is a force that will draw her back like gravity. But here's the subtle mastery most men never grasp. When she does return, she is not coming to negotiate or to test your worth. She's coming to reconnect with the version of you she realizes she cannot replace. That is why patience, discipline, and emotional authority are non-negotiable. She feels it in the way you carry yourself, in the choices you make, in the energy you radiate. Every step you take in your life, every boundary you hold, every success you achieve amplifies her awareness of what she lost. And here's the final edge. You do not act on her return impulsively. You remain grounded. You welcome her, yes, but on your terms. Because the moment a man loses his foundation and bends to the whims of desire, attraction collapses instantly. You must balance availability with sovereignty, warmth with control, and presence with independence. That is the equation of magnetic pull. When executed with precision, she comes back willingly. She comes back with a mix of awe, longing, and recognition that the man she walked away from is now untouchable and complete. She doesn't just want you, she fears losing you again, and that fear fuels desire stronger than anything words could achieve. This is the psychological code men are never taught. Most men chase, beg, or plead. Few men master the subtle art of becoming indispensable, irresistible, and untouchable all at once. And when you do, the rules shift. The dynamic reverses. She chases, she reaches out, she invests, and you, calm and grounded, hold the power of choice. You are no longer at risk of loss. You are the standard, the benchmark, the man she realizes she cannot replace. That is the ultimate truth. That is the secret psychology most men never learn. And here's something for you to do right now. Think about her absence, the memories, the moments that mattered most, and calculate the weight of what she left behind. If she realized it tomorrow, what would she do? Write that equation in your mind and share your answer in the comments. And while you're at it, like this video, subscribe for more truths they don't want men to know, and share this with a friend who needs to hear this psychology today. Because understanding this is not just strategy, it's freedom, power, and the key to having her come back without desperation ever entering your life.